Hey guys, welcome back. This is officially episode 1 of building our truck. We are on the tools. When I say we, I mean Duncan. I'm not quite at the truck yet. But we are going to get straight into it as this week marks the beginning of interior framing. There is heaps to do and learn, as you'll find out if you stick around to the end.
I was very excited about having built all this. So let's take it all apart, chop it down, bring the floor down a little bit.
We'll also share a little of what's been happening for us personally too.
Good morning, guys. Back with the truck, and I just wanted to say we've had tons and tons of comments on our first 2 videos and really constructive stuff, so keep the comments coming. We really appreciate it. Things from should we go 3-way fridge versus compressor fridge, and I'm pretty sure compressor fridge is winning out in the comments, as well as what we should decal on the side, and all the way through to potential design changes, which we'll consider, but it might create some issues down the line. But just a short message to say thank you so much for all the comments, so much valuable insight, and we're going to try and incorporate as much as possible into the build, but maybe not everything. So if we don't do your comment, it's not because it's a bad comment or it's not valid, but some things might just be too hard to change, or we're too lazy. But keep the comments coming. I'm not going to say anything you guys say, we're seriously considering, we're trying to factor it in. So we will make changes based on what you're saying, and we really appreciate all the insight people are giving to us newbie, novice truck builders. First things first, I'm going to take our 3D model and measure out our dimensions and look with some painter's tape to see if what we designed actually works in real terms. I was really happy I could find a model of an HX60 to base this off, so hopefully the dimensions are as accurate as possible. And then I've gone ahead and kind of laid out and designed the space. So the first thing I'm going to mark out is this center line of our truck to see if the hallway is wide enough for our space. I have bought tape measure and some painter's tape. I'm going to go through and mark up all the dimensions. This is all new to us, so forgive me during any of this process if anything's obvious to other people or if there's a way better way of doing it. We're also having to buy all the tools and equipment we need whilst we build this out, but this is officially the first step of us building our van. Because I don't have a pencil, which I'll bring next time, because it would have really helped with this process, I'm just going to put some tape at 525. So that is currently the depth of the cabinetry, and I can already see that probably want deeper cupboards for drawers. That's fine, but storage is going to be an absolute must. Let's leave it there for now, and we'll work out how we step this space out and what it looks like when it's all taped up. You can see I've got one of the lines behind me. That's going to be our bench height at the moment. So remember, this is all like a wayfinding exercise, like a spatial relationships thing. So nothing on this wall is necessarily going to be what it will eventually be. It's good, well, at least I think it's good, I may be completely wrong, to lay it all out and get an idea of how corridor space feels, bench heights feel, cooktops feel, like are they a little bit too low, are they a little too high? And there are specific heights they should be from building a van, building a home, building anything. One thing I have noticed through measuring this is there's actually a little chamfered edge down here, which is about 6 centimeters, and it cuts into just the bottom of the van. I think it's where they connect the frame of the van, the 2 composite panels, have like an aluminium connection between them and a bit of a gap to allow for like a moisture barrier. When I did the 3D model, I did it off where the wall was, because I was just basing it off specs online and didn't really know those little details. But this is exactly why we do it. 3D models don't get you everywhere because you don't know everything the manufacturer is doing. It's something to know that that's why my measurements weren't quite matching up, and that's because I was losing 6 centimeters with this chamfered edge at the bottom on my floor measurements. Now I've got all my spaces marked out with the painter's tape. I've got a better understanding of how things are going to look and feel once we build out our frame. Like I said, this might not be an essential step in the process, but I think it really helps me understand what I'm going to build and if there are any glaring issues with what I've designed from the outset. Standing on top of the truck, and one thing you'll notice is the sun is setting behind me and it's only 3:18. I'm gonna have to get some lights to work on this truck because it gets dark early over here in winter. I'm gonna lose the light in about half an hour, 45 minutes tops. And then, seeing there's no lights in the van, it's gonna get pretty bloody dark. So, back in the van to get this thing measured and built out. Looking at the 3D model, I'm probably going to start at the back of the truck with the U-shaped couch, the bed, frame, and the actuators powering that. Finally got my first shipment of aluminium, extruded aluminium 30x30s. Might be over-engineering, but I'm going to frame out everything with this. After a lot of research, I decided to do aluminium frame because A, it's super strong and kind of bulletproof if I do it properly, and B, that way you're only putting the composite timber or ply timber on the front faces that are going to be seen. Everything here should be pretty structural and hard wearing, and I can bolt it in and then Loctite it so that it won't come apart. Might be overkill for Europe, but coming from Australia, you really learn the value of building things super tough. If you've ever gone over any corrugated roads in Australia, if it's not built well, it'll just rattle apart. And then I'm going to join it using these little corner bolts which screw in to the end, and then these L brackets for anything that needs to attach on the side at any place. For my frame, I'm using extruded aluminium profiles. I found a good company over here in the UK called KJN Aluminium, and I've opted to go for the 30x30 aluminium profile with an 8mm slot with extrusions on each side, so I have ultimate flexibility in connecting these. And although I do feel a little bit like a kid in a candy store looking at all the different ways I can connect these pieces together, I opted for the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. I will be using the 3-way cubic connectors for my corner pieces, as well as their 30x30 angle brackets with fixings. So I'm going to get into measuring, hopefully start cutting and assembling my loose frame. Like loose frame I say because I'm not actually going to Loctite all the nuts and bolts going into this. I'm just going to frame it up to make sure I'm happy with it. And then when I'm super happy with it and I'm going to fix it all down, I'm going to do the long process of undoing it all and then putting in my Loctite bolts so that it doesn't come apart. But I don't want to do that now because I assume that I'm going to make mistakes, and I assume that I'm going to have to recut and reevaluate the space as I go. If I can do this and build it well, then honestly, anyone can do this. Trying to build the box around our 500 litre water tank, which is going to sit under the floor, and work out just how much space I lose on the plans given this kind of edge here that comes in. And I think I'm going to have to build it from here up and then maybe come back to here and then up. And these are about 3 centimeters. So I'll need to allow for 3 centimeters off the edge of that so that they can clip in. Measure 220 of this, mark it, and then these should fit on either end. We'll cut it and see if it fits in nicely. 220 there. I can just mark it there. We're at 220, 220. But when I cut the first one, then I'll kind of use that as a ruler for the rest. That bar will run along the floor to this edge and then fix it in. And then that's about 23, 24 centimeters up. I can use those 300 mil, 30 centimeter offcuts to go vertically here up to about the top of here. I obviously want to try and use anything that I'm cutting somewhere else in the build, so I'm not using tons of aluminium because it's not cheap. All in here, tons of aluminium. For all of those pieces I bought, I want to try and finish with only the smallest little offcuts that I didn't need. Got a drill bits, got all my connectors, got myself a little miter saw table. Miter saw, can't overemphasize that everything so far has been such a steep learning curve, from what materials to use, Google research, YouTube videos, what tools I need to get. Do I need an impact driver? Do I need a normal drill? What sort of saw do I need? I need a multi-material cutting blade for the aluminium, and just how everything goes together. But that's half the fun, is trying to work everything out. Once it's all assembled, which may take me a while, then we should be good to start cutting some aluminium and seeing what our base frame around the water tank looks like. So there you have it, guys. Took me longer than I probably expected. We're already halfway through the day. So I actually ended up watching a YouTube video on setting this saw up, and there was another one on making sure everything's perfectly aligned, because apparently they're not necessarily perfectly aligned out of the box. I might just do a little test cut and see what I think. A little bit apprehensive, a little bit nervous, more than I thought I would be, just because the first thing is using a pretty big saw, which I've never used before and kind of assembled myself following the instructions in YouTube videos. So let's get into chopping some aluminium and see how we go. Ear defenders in, eye protectors on, because it does spit out quite a bit of aluminium. Just cut off my end piece, so that should be about 30, and the other piece is about 220. That's a pretty clean cut. That's the manufacturer's cut, so you can kind of see that there. So that's what they do professionally, and then this multi-purpose saw with the multi-blade there cuts really well. And I'm pretty happy for a relatively inexpensive saw. I got the DeWalt drill, this saw, the table, drill set with all the attachments for the drill, screws, all that sort of stuff. And it cost me about £400, so about $800. So not bad. I definitely didn't go for the expensive miter saws, because they do get very expensive very quickly. But so far, for what I need, pretty impressed. I'm going to try these connectors with these screws here. Apparently these screws are self-tapping, so when I screw that in there, the screw getting screwed in there will kind of create its own thread. So you can see that has actually tapped itself. If I reverse the drill, you can see that it's created a little thread in there, and I don't have to drill threads into all of these, which is a huge relief to me. I've got a second one on here, and it's pretty easy to get it nice and tight. So they're both angled the same way. Got both my end pieces on, and these are like 3-way joiners, so I can attach a piece to here and here. So it's like perfect corner pieces. So that's it in line with the water tank. It's going to be pretty tight. It's going to be very tight on the side of these, which I don't really want, but you can see what my issue is. If I put this down on the floor here, so that's the kind of edge that I have to start from, because I can't go to where I want to, which is actually up there. I have to kind of start from down here on the base so that I can kind of mount into the floor. The problem is the water tank is almost absolutely flush to that bottom of that kind of angled edge, which was fine when I thought the walls were 6 centimeters further away. So we'll see how we make it work. That's the first box. The basis of our first floor, first thing to ever be built in, if not now, adventure vehicle. And I have made it very tight on the tank. I did think long and hard about it. The only place I've left a gap is at the back, because that's the outflow on that side. And then on the other side, over here, we've got our male connectors for water coming in, and then another outflow one under there at the bottom. But this thing literally sits like pretty much flush at the bottom with this, because I just don't have the space in between. Can't really show you it. So we'll put some cross beams along here, running this way, potentially across that way as well, and then ply on top, which will form our floor. Maybe 18 to 20 mil ply, depending on what we think will work, but definitely need some cross beams, especially in the middle, because that's a 2 meter span. I need to go and pick up Naya with Soph from her first day at daycare, because Soph's getting some work done today, and we felt like we needed Naya to be at least away for like seeing other kids, and not just with us for at least one day a week. It gives us a bit of time to focus on other things and get to the business of building trucks and editing videos. Really excited with the first day. Feel like I've got the hang of using our like miter saw and cutting through aluminium and joining it all together. And it's really exciting to have the basis of our, I know it just looks like a little aluminium box, but to me, it's like it's the basis of my truck. Like that's what we're going to use to frame a lot of our cabinetry and kitchen units and so on. So it's very exciting to at least see some progress. I've come in today after being very excited about building this frame with the extruded aluminium round by water tank, and don't know how I didn't notice it yesterday, but I'm noticing I've probably got about 6 centimeters here to be safe above the water tank. That's about 23, 24 centimeters up. So I can use those 300 mil, 30 centimeter offcuts to go vertically here, which probably wouldn't have been a problem. However, when I factor in the seating on top of that, and then our bed lift going to come down from the roof, I really do want to try and make sure we keep as much head height as possible. So this morning, first thing I do is take at least the top of this apart and all the corner pieces, and then chop another 5-6 centimeters out of them. So this sits a little bit closer to the water tank. Little things like this now will make a huge difference later. Let's take it all apart, chop it down, bring the floor down a little bit. It is a little bit heartbreaking taking this all apart, but you think you've done it perfectly, and then you realize stuff along the way. And that's why I wanted to build it this way, completely from scratch, and using the extruded aluminium, because if I do make a mistake, I can change it really, really quickly, mark it back up, cut it, put it back in, adjust. I'm not trying to take someone else's work and fix it. We did look at things like DIY, like kitchens and pre-built stuff that then you would have to retrofit, but extruded aluminium, building from scratch, means that we can make mistakes and we can fix them. Moving on from building the box / floor over my 500 litre water tank, I'm going to start building the boxes that sit on top of that, which will form the basis of our L-shaped seating area.
from season. Watch you jumping that gear, make the theme song. Cause we all need some fear, there's a reason that I'm having my year. Got my peace up, and they take what I give, no ease up. It's 100%, I meet goals, but I move with no plan on the ego. At least that's what I say. Need someone to calm my blood.
So I'm officially sitting on my bench seat, albeit just with a piece of plywood over the top, but technically I'm sitting on it. It's holding my weight. I do need to put a lot more supports in. I've made good progress framing over the water tank for our floor and doing a section, so a seat on either side for our bench seating. I'll need to work out how I run it all the way to the end of the van. I think I'm gonna have to do some angle cuts and get a little bit creative, maybe get some different connectors that allow me to connect it on an angle and then support it back to the floor. I have run out of my little connectors, both corner connectors and the L bracket connectors. I kind of knew I was going to. I bought a lot of aluminium. I've still got plenty of aluminium to get through the job. I went light on the connectors just because I wasn't quite sure how they were going to work and if they were going to be what I needed. And I wanted to learn a little bit from using them before I went heavy and ordered a ton more. So I figured I would explain to you guys a little bit more about why we're doing extruded aluminium framing on the truck. The other option would be just using composite ply, hardwood composite ply, and then drilling it into the floor and fixing it that way. After watching a lot of videos, so everything I'm doing is learned via YouTube. So trying to communicate some of other people's knowledge back to you now that I have osmosis a little bit of that knowledge. It's a little bit like Meccano as a kid and just like connecting everything and then screwing it in. And it should be super hard wearing so that we have no issues with build quality, structural integrity, strength. You know, when you sit on a couch, you don't want to be worried that, you know, it might not hold together and you're hoping that your cabinetry skills are good enough to hold together. Whereas with the aluminium, I know it can take a hell of a lot of weight, especially when I reinforce it. That's the reason we went for that. The other reason is if you were building all four sides of a box and every face was going to be seen, then thick composite ply probably is better because you have four faces of ply that are going to be seen. Whereas a lot of our stuff might have some ply on top, some ply on the front, but where it connects into other structures and so on, it'll just be open unless you want to close it for storage. I definitely think it's been the right decision. I'm loving how quickly it comes together when you get all your dimensions right. Only problem is knowing your quantities. One piece of advice I can give people who are considering it, you will need a lot more L brackets and potentially the three-way corner connectors than you expect, and that's purely because you think you're building a box, cool, that's how many I need. Then you need to put in structural supports. You're probably putting in a support every half a meter or more. I'm putting it under every beam coming up, purely because the beams coming up are things like seats and beds and so on, and you really want to be able to sit down on there with 100% confidence and not worry that, oh, I've only actually put one cross beam in. That being said, I am sitting on probably a meter or so of cross beam at the moment with my plyboard on top, and that's been fine. Maybe I don't need to over-engineer it like I am, but especially at the ground level, I'm trying to make it as solid and have as little bounce or play as possible.
Join us in the next few videos. It's a hectic time for us. Dunk is juggling his time between learning to drive HGVs.
So, did I pass or did I fail?
And we have a mega framing week. Dunk frames not just the seating area, but also the kitchen, the bathroom, the kids' bunks, pretty much everything. Yeah, it's a big one. And we apologize if there's a delay in getting these videos out to you. He's also juggling a couple of weeks back in Australia to launch a new business. He doesn't stop, this guy. I'm not sure when he sleeps, but yeah. We're just juggling family life, travel plans, building a truck, learning to drive HGVs. So bear with us. We are working as fast as we can. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.
Thanks for watching, guys. And as promised, if you are interested in our life update news, here you are. Hiya. Beep beep. Hiya.
Update.
Baby.
Yeah, there's a baby.
There's a baby.
So
Another one.
Yeah, another baby, not just this one. Soph is pregnant again.
Yeah.
A bit of a surprise because we weren't quite planning on it or even trying that often or that regularly. But Soph's pregnant again, and we found out that she was a lot further along than we were expecting.
The downsides of being in the UK in winter is we're all getting sick.
No, yeah?
And we're going to try and film with Nine.
Yeah. She's decided she can have the lights flickering on her up. Come sit back up. Yes? Okay, so we'll try and keep this short and sweet because obviously it's really hard filming with a
15-month baby.
15-month-year-old. So weren't really expecting it, but Sophie is pregnant again.
Yeah, and we are over the moon because we did want another one, but we were hoping to have been a bit more progressed through the build.
With the truck, yeah. But super excited, and Sophie's actually 15 weeks pregnant now.
Yeah, bump update.
Bump update. Definitely a bump there. A bit of a surprise because we weren't necessarily expecting to find out Sophie's pregnant.
Naya now wants to kiss the baby.
We just had our 15-week scan where they also do the gender, hence champagne and letter, because we asked them not to tell us in the scan so we could find out together now. Yes, baby.
We were asking Naya if she wanted a brother or a sister, and she kept going, bub, 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 bub.
Yeah. What do you want? Brother or sister? Brother or sister? Brother or sister? Brother. I'm not even going to get in, do we have a preference, anything like that. We've got one girl. Girls are great. Definitely wouldn't mind another girl.
We're not sure if we would like 3 or more, and we would like to experience being a parent to a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
Girls are great. Another Naya would be awesome. But then maybe we'd need to have 3 or 4 to have a boy, and we'd have to sell the truck because the truck can only have 4 seats in the cab.
Yeah, even now we have 3 seats in the cab, and we're going to have to do a modification to add an extra seat in for the next one.
Yes.
Are we ready for another one? I don't know. Right, you're just going to do your thing over there, are you? Yeah, okay.
Okay, you do you. Bye.
Right. Are you ready?
No. Yeah. Let's just do it.
Righto. We'll do this quickly because
That's her favourite word. Don't take it personally.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to open the results because we've got a 15-month-year-old who really doesn't want to sit still for more than 2 seconds. And we'll be happy with either.
Yeah.
And last time we hiked to the top of a mountain to do this, but this time we're in England and it's cold and we're working on a truck, so we're going to do it in the warmth of our home.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, God. I don't know if the paper's an indicator.
Oh, yeah, the paper's blue. What does it say? It's a girl.
Girl! Oh, baby girl. On blue paper. That really, I was like, blue paper? I thought that would be a thing.
Yeah, because they do blue and pink lights if you want to find out there and then.
Wow.
Okay. And he said, I'm 100,000% certain. Okay.
I think I was expecting a boy.
I was. Why
No.
did you write on blue paper? Another one like you.
Another baby. That's baby's
cool.
sister.
Yes, baby, and Mummy's tummy.
Wow. Well, that's crazy. Okay, I've got to open this now. Everything was leading, I just, for some reason, thought it was a boy.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm excited for Naya to have a sister. There's two girls and one boy in your family.
Yeah.
But I do think now...
Oh, now, do we have a third?
Yeah. Then if you have 3 girls, you just got to stop, right? 4 girls? Oh my God, I'm so outnumbered already.
A baby girl.
Wow.
Well, it makes a lot of things easier because I have all Naya's newborn clothes and all the clothes she grows out of. Sorry, second child. I'm the second girl, so I got all my sister's clothes. And I hated it. Oh well. Cheers. You're gonna have a little sister when they go down.
Okay, so it's going to be 3 girls and me so far in this household. So more girls. Girls are great. After having Naya, I do really like having girls, but blue paper and everything we thought we saw in the scan the first time, I must admit, I kind of thought it was going to be a boy.
And I've been craving really salty things. And
Yeah,
pregnancy one, I was craving really sweet.
things, yeah, and they say that's a wives' tale. They say, yeah, and your bump was showing like lower this time, like it was like a little bit further down. So there you have it, folks. We are expecting another baby girl, Naya's first sibling,
Yeah.
sisters, and it's going to be me in a truck with 3 girls. Woohoo! So that's our update for now. Back to building the truck.